Okay, so welcome everyone for week 3 of the Cassandra Cloud Native Workshop series. Today will be all about application development. Thank you for being with us. In the previous week, it was all about theory about Cassandra. It's time to go practice in the code. I'm Erick RAMIREZ. I'm the Director of Developer Advocacy at DataStax. And today with me, I have my buddy David. Hey, David.
Hello. Hi, Cedric.
Yeah, but it's not only me, hey, David. It's the whole crew behind the screen, helping answering questions today on the live on YouTube, also during the week on Discord, and also on the forum community.datastax.com, where you ask all the questions when you do the exercise. Speaking of exercise, you can see now that we have put the link just in between us to do all the exercise. This is a single link. It's also part of the show note in the YouTube description. This time we have provide you everything you need, including the MENTI code and everything, and we should be ready to go.
Let's do this, Cedric. Let's do this.
All right.
Are you guys all excited? Is everybody excited? Excited to get into some application development today? Let's see those thumbs up. And yes, I see a thumbs up there. I see some hellos. My voice is not syncing with the video. Uh-oh. I just got a message from someone saying my voice is not synced with the video.
Oh, really?
Well, as I mentioned, I am stuck in another dimension today, it seems.
Oh, you are? So let me fix that.
We're going to fix that.
Yeah, hopefully. I want you to be there with us. What about now? Try to speak.
How about now, everybody? Now that you guys are seeing how the sausage is made, is my voice synced okay?
Yeah, I think we're back. So in the meantime, I will go on speaking. So I don't know if you know, but we do have 11,000 registration for the workshop. This is amazing. So week 1, we had about 18,000 views, about 2K, almost 2K people did the exercise the first week. And week 2, it was a little lower, but that's life. But still, amazing 10,000, 10,000. That's just wow. And not only exercise, almost 1,000 people doing the exercise. So you have up to last week of August to do the exercise. So you're not in a hurry. You can catch up. If you just joined today, totally fine. You can catch up what we did in the previous week. All right, and now this is the time to talk to you about what's coming. Okay, first 2 weeks were really deep into Cassandra. What is the database? What is used for? What is a data model? And this knowledge is really required to go where we want to go. But where we want to go is really building applications on top of Cassandra. And we are starting today building create, read, update, delete services. Next week, we will package that as the REST microservice. And moving on, we will put that step by step in Kubernetes, both Cassandra and the app, do the test, and put that in the cloud. So the workshop is not only about Cassandra, it's about all the technology you would need to succeed with Cassandra in the cloud. All right then. You know what? Today, housekeeping, just a demo to make you excited what kind of use case we will do, connectivity to Cassandra, executing queries, statement, getting the result, and a little bit of a Java famous framework, Spring Framework. So let's talk about housekeeping. As usual, you don't have to install anything to work with us today. You have to do exercise, but you don't have to install anything. Now, we expect you to have already the Astra instance. In the exercise, again, we put everything you need to create your Astra instance. So you can go there if you don't have one and start doing it right now, because today we expect you to have that. Same. We also expect you to have basic knowledge of Cassandra data modeling, because we did a full week on that, and most of you probably have taken the DS220 on academy.datastax.com as part of the homework. This is a huge amount of work. And also know some basics about Node, Python, Java, or C#, because every aspect of Cassandra will talk with the drivers, we will illustrate with one of the four. Just to notice, to do the exercise today, we have Node, Python, and Java. Okay, as usual, we are live on YouTube and also on Twitch as a backup. We are not really answering questions on Twitch, really focused on the chat on YouTube and Discord. If you do have questions during the week, there is community.datastacks.com. We will use the exercise using Astra, which is Cassandra as a service in the cloud. You already have installed. You already have created your own instance. All the materials, presentation, code is on GitHub. And to do the exercise, today we will introduce a new tool called GitPod. GitPod is kind of Eclipse Thea or Visual Studio Code available online. And you can see that starting from the GitHub repo, just click a button and it will spawn a GitPod instance for you to work with.
Yeah, and just something to add to that, like for those who are out there developing, especially if you're using GitHub, so many of us aren't nowadays, like GitPod is just awesome because you can have your code up in the repo, hit a button and launch, and you can launch anybody in that code. And you don't have to worry about mucking with an IDE locally or anything. So we've been starting to add these into the workshops now, and we're going to see how this works today. The key thing is there's so many of you on today, we don't know how well GitPod will handle all of the folks at the same time. So hopefully it's nice and smooth. We'll see. But yeah, definitely, even outside of what we're doing today, something to check out potentially for your own projects. And it's free. That's what wonderful. You don't have to pay anything or whatever to use it.
Let's see a demo of the use case. What do we build today? Well, with all the space theme we are using from the start, let's reuse that, and we will launch a rocket today. We will move into space, Astra, space. Let's see what it looks like, okay? All right, so I'm moving again this time here. So this is the UI you will have, not this week, because this week is all about create, read updates, operation, to be able to insert data in Cassandra. But next week, this is the demo you will launch like me. So I would like to launch a rocket. So spacecraft name, let's see.
Where's the rocket can come out of?
Workshop rocket, Let's, we want to go to Mars. Why not? And I launch. So what it will do, it will insert the journey row in Cassandra. And then you can see at the bottom of the screen, maybe it's a bit cropped, but this is 4 metrics registered in real time: speed, pressure, temperatures, and location. So we are injecting time series in real time in Cassandra. Okay. So you can see that we are, writing a lot of data. Okay. And when it's done, okay, I do have some summary here telling me that the workshop rocket had a journey ID of this ID. It takes 2 seconds to go to Mars. Yeah, to read and write overall. And here you can see all the data that has been written to Cassandra. And if you want to replay your journey, you go to the left part. And here you can see that, oh, this is the one we just launched. For a rocket, you do have multiple journey, and I can replay one journey, and it will again take 1-2 minutes to execute. If I launch a new journey using the same rocket, it will appear over here, and I will have multiple journey for a rocket. So now that you have passed week 1 and week 2 with Cassandra, you can tell what we need to find out to be able to create an application like that is to know what are the queries, the application workflow, and what is entities and relationships. Okay, so let's see. Moving back here. whoa, this is our rockets. So this workflow should be familiar to you. This is the modelization process when it comes to create a data model for Cassandra. You need both the conceptual data model and application workflow to start with, and then applying basic rules, you get the physical data model and you are ready to start. All right. So application workflow. First, we do have a spacecraft catalog. Which queries? We want to look up all the journeys for a spacecraft. You know, on the left part, here I do have the Falcon 9, Crew Dragon 9, let's say. Yeah, we'll see in the sample just later. And here you see I do have 2 journeys. So get all journeys for a spacecraft. Now, if I want to look at the detail of the journey, I should be able to have the journey summary. And of course, this is the things I did in the first place. You need to be able to create a new journey. So, okay. Now, when it comes to the sensor, you know, pressure, speed, temperatures, location, what we need is to be able to save that in real time, and also later on to be able to analyze one dimension over the other. One maybe to be able to draw a curve explaining what is the speed over time or pressure over time, to be able to do some analysis after that.
Hey, Cedric, real quick. Sorry to stop
go
you.
for it.
So a bunch of folks are asking how to launch, and I just want to remind folks, at this point, Cedric was just showing you the app and what it's doing. We have not actually launched that as part of the workshop yet, so don't worry about it. You haven't missed anything or anything like that. We just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, so you will do this demo next week when we do have all the pieces. So we will build the demo step by step, and first things to do is to insert stuff in Cassandra. So let's start with application workflow. Okay, I did that. And conceptual data model. I do have a journey, I define the attributes, summary, is the journey active or not, what is the name of the spacecraft, is the journey started, takeoff, landing, and what is the UID of a journey. You see in the journey summary window, we do have the journey UID. You asked about creating a real app for Cassandra. Here it is, right? So you also need all the readings, speed, temperature, pressure, location, and each time you need a unit, a time, and the value. All right, with those two, you go to the logical data model. Multiple queries means multiple tables. You know that. So having the journey catalog list all the journey for a spacecraft. Well, spacecraft will be the partition key. Journey ID will be a clustering column. Could be best to have the latest journey at top if it's a time UID. Start when the rocket take off and when the rocket landed. If the journey is active or not. And also the summary, you know, the little text I type. Same for now for all the metric, speed, pressure, location, temperatures. Again, the spacecraft should be part of partition key, but also the journey ID. You want to have the list of all the values for a single journey, not only the spacecraft, because you are doing the queries for each journey. You want to speed over time for this journey and not another. You do have the reading times, which is a timestamp, and the value and the unit of the value. Speed, speed unit, pressure, pressure unit. Okay, moving on. This is the logical data model. What's next? Move to physical data model. Okay, now for the spacecraft I use a text, journey, time UUID, so I do have the timestamp, and this is why I am able to sort the value. All right, is it active or not? The summary, and you can read the slide for the others. We get the different types for each attributes. And with that, that's it. We do have the DDL to be able to create the Cassandra query language to create our tables. So first, the spacecraft journey catalog, and then 4 tables that look like a log like that, which is stuff for each dimension: speed, pressure, temperatures, and location.
Hey, Cedric, real quick. So I do see a question I think is really quite relevant to what we were just looking at. Why can't we have a single table to store all the sensor values?
Oh.
Putting Cedric on the spot.
Yeah.
Right
okay,
now.
let's see. Let's discuss about that. Having all the value over time. That means you will request for a certain journey, okay, having text and time UID, and then yeah, why not? We could have speed limit, pressure unit, and reading times as a single tables. That would make sense, I guess. Yes. And if you want to add a new matrix, add a new column. Totally fine with Cassandra. We make the choice to split into multiple tables. I don't know, maybe because we don't have the same reading times for each value, and we cannot insert everything at the same times. But if it's possible to insert everything at the same time, yes, having a single table for the matrix and multiple columns is totally fine, because we are querying with spacecraft journey ID, and we still have the reading time as a clustering column to just ensure unicity.
And one thing to also point out per that clustering column, right, is that if you notice, even the 2 examples that are up on the screen now, they are not using the same clustering column. So could I have the same partition key with then both of those as clustering columns? I could. However, since clustering columns are going to, if you have multiple clustering columns, the order is going to be sorted in the order of your clustering columns. I may not want that in my actual query access pattern, right? I may want to ensure that my clustering column is only being ordered off of, say, one of the columns or something. So I guess at the end of the day, it depends. It's flexible. It's not, there's not an absolute that says that you absolutely have to data model it this one way. But, you know, yeah, could you combine it? Yes. But then, of course, you're going to run into some considerations with your clustering columns that you need to take into account. Are you gonna minimize us?
Yes, in live, you know, no.
Woohoo!
Yes.
By the way, for those of you who are saying, can David duck? I could. Unfortunately, you may have seen me laugh for a moment. I turned to the side, and if I do it too far, you'll see behind me. And it kind of, yes, it makes more of a problem than not. So no, I can't actually duck. But yes, you're seeing the infinite house of mirrors as you see us, how we're doing this live. I think that looks a lot better.
And also maybe not that the bottom is not crop anymore. Yeah, it's.
I feel like we need to do like a meta episode.
Yeah, you know, it's real life. All the bloopers and everything. See how much stressful I am to just do that. Okay, let's move on.
Yes, and Charlie, yes, we are in satellite dishes. Like I said, I'm multi-dimensional today, so I'm actually phasing in between our dimension and another one, but that is, you know, totally off the satellite dish. But anyway, so going back to the data model, hopefully I did see some questions come through with that. So the answer is, you know, why couldn't you use a single table? You could, you potentially could, but you need to really take into consideration what's going on with those clustering columns to ensure that it's actually giving you the results that you would expect.
Yeah, because thinking about that, spacecraft journey ID and reading times, if all the values come at the same times, yeah, you still have one unicity. But yeah, maybe you have a huge table. Let's see. Yeah. I think the choice have been made because we don't have the same reading times for all the metrics, or this is what we pretend. But that's a fair comment. You see how we just think about that? There is a little piece of heart by doing the data model. I mean, of course you challenge because you have just done data modeling all week long.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's jump to the exercise. So first exercise is still a notebook. Why? Because we will create the expected tables. And I don't want to create that in multiple languages. Let's do that with the notebook just to see what are the queries under the hood, the one that just show you with the demo. And when we are done with that, we can move on to all about the code. Okay, so I think in Crew is just sharing any link now, both on YouTube chat. Links are below the video. but it's still in the same GitHub repo as the 2 weeks before. Now there is a new folder called, surprise, week 3. All right, so I will do that with you. Let me go to my Astra account. Okay, here I am, and I'm moving to, okay, let's close the demo, and I go to Developer Studio. Remember, Developer Studio is here, launch now. Okay. So week 3, remember, this is Cassandra workshop series, week 3, and I'm following the rules. So we do have slide deck, Discord, all the video available for today and tomorrow there, all the link. And so first step, create your Astra instance. And as we told you, we expect you to have the Astra instance today, but if you don't, we still have provided you all the procedures and what we expect you to do. Okay, so let's move on to 2, the spacecraft notebook. Okay, so you download the spacecraft.tar from GitHub, and I think I provide you the direct link here, download link. Okay, so I'm inserting that in download. Okay, spacecraft. And I can simply go to my studio, find this guy and drop. So import, as usual. Let me put you in the proper, here you are. And so I've just imported. Oh, it's still downloading, is it? I think it's still downloading. But anyway, I do have my, why is that? I do have my notebook already imported here if I need to. So let's see, maybe it's there already. Oh yeah, no, for some reason see, I do have these.
Are you taking up all the bandwidth? And
no, it's not a bandwidth. It just, look at the icon. I know it's very small on my screen. I do have an icon like telling me that this stuff is not fully downloaded, but it's not the case. It's probably downloaded.
I see.
Okay, so let me close you guys and put you doing big. Okay, so space flag catalog data model working. So we will create the table we just defined all together with the workflow, the catalog, and the 4 tables for the 4 metrics. Okay. And the first things to do is to create the spacecraft journey catalog if it does not exist. So you are probably using Killer Video, which is the key space we are using for the first 2 weeks. Totally fine. If you ask why I'm not using it on my own notebook, it's just I do have already one key space ready to go. Remember, 1 key space per Astra free tier, so, and you cannot rename it. So I will keep my own named to-do app because I've created a to-do app on Cassandra a few weeks ago. But that's totally fine. And go for it.
Oh, and you may have just said that and I completely missed it, but I did see some questions about folks asking, do we need to create a new key space? If you've been following along with us and you already have the Killer Video key space, did you just say this, Cedric, and I missed it?
Yeah, something like that. No, reuse the key space.
You did?
No, okay. Reuse Killer Video key space. Totally fine.
You can reuse Killer Video as well. So all you'll have to do is, as Cedric goes through the instructions and shows you the configuration where you're putting in the to-do app stuff, if you had that, you would just replace it with the Killer Video piece. So you can use either one.
Exactly. All right.
I'm seeing the notebook is not getting downloaded when you click on it.
Again, oh no, this time I just did it in front of you. You cannot say that to me.
Yeah, no, I'm doing it myself as well. But Bettina, I think I saw Bettina drop the raw link. I'm grabbing it now myself.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so I've created now the other bunch of tables. Okay, and I will truncate the tables. Why? Because they are not empty, at least on my end, because I've just run the demo with you. So those tables are not empty for me. And to be honest, when I did create table if not exist, nothing happened because it was already there. And so you can see that I do have the table, spacecraft, yada, yada, yada. All right. So now insert some demo data. Okay, I'm inserting three journey, and I'm right away executing a command I should not execute, which is select star from. Okay, and for some reason, why do I have a single guy in, whereas just asked to insert three? That's so funny. Oh, here they are. Yeah, it told me no data return, but okay, it takes a few seconds to just get my three guys here. So, and the one we will use for this notebook is Apollo 11. Okay, one of the probably the most famous. So what I'm doing, we have created the journey. So we provided the spacecraft name and a journey ID. Okay, then we insert stuff. So speed, location, temperature, and pressure. Okay. Each time 4 metrics. Okay, it told me success. And so here, this is the query we need to do. Remember, application workflow? This is the query we need to do the app. And this time I put some code, some labels in each query, just for you to be able to map what we are doing with later on the exercise. So first, 4A, list all the journey for a spacecraft. 4B, get details of a journey. 4C, get instrument reading for a journey. So if I use Apollo 11, okay, 4A, list all the journey for this spacecraft. I do have a single journey, which is FC1, yada yada yada. I can select, of course, the full row, okay? But as I provided the partition key, totally fine. Then I need to get the detail of a journey. So now I will also provide the journey ID. And now it will be unique because I'm requesting with the full primary key. And before I was only using the partition key, and see, I don't need allow filtering for that. All right, moving on. So now to get the details, find journey by ID. If you're already familiar with programming, you might tell that this is a kind of query we will do, but it's also related to a spacecraft. So I provide the spacecraft here. 4C, get the instrument reading for a journey. And I think, I provide the 4. So first the speed, okay, then the location, X, Y, Z. You might notice that here we are using a UDT, user-defined type. Yeah, the idea is to give you as much, flavors code as we can. So we put you some time series, we put some UDT, we put some time UID, all the fun stuff to play with when you deal with Cassandra. Okay, how to allow filtering? Well, I don't know. I never use that.
I was just about to answer that. Don't use it.
Yeah, don't use it.
Just pretend it doesn't exist. No, honestly, if you really wanted to, at the end of your query, you could actually put the words allow filtering. But I know we talk about this every episode, but I'm going to belabor the point. You should not be using allow filtering. It's actually kind of an internal joke in the Cassandra world that when you write a query that is starting to say not use your partition key in your where clause, that the driver actually, the database comes back and it tells you exactly what not to do. It's like, oh, by the way, you could use allow filtering. You should never use it because when you're using allow filtering, that's usually an indication that you are trying to query outside of your partition key. And unlike a relational database where I can just say query my where clause against really any column in my table, that's not how it works in Cassandra. You always have to have that partition key, right? And if you are not using the partition key and you're getting that allow filtering error, what you're really telling the database to do is I want to scan through all of my nodes to go find some data. And if I've got like a 1,000 node cluster or something, imagine what that might look like, right? So again, allow filtering is an indication that you need to kind of rethink that query access pattern, what you're trying to do in your query. I would not use it at all, ever, especially in production workloads. It will cause you issues down the road. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or somebody said aloud during.
Yeah,
Ouch.
yeah, FabRedTube. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I talked about that a few weeks ago, last week or the week before. Allow during. Yeah, I like to say that. Okay, so that was the temperatures, pressure. You know, again, it's always the same type of query.
And just to, sorry, just to finish something off, I see Alka Grover is asking, so when do you use it? Generally, you don't, right? It's a holdover from the past. There are some advanced cases when maybe you were looking at doing things with Spark workloads or other things that it might come into play. But this is under the hood stuff. Generally speaking, in CQL, you should not be using it. So it's more of a holdover. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about that.
Maybe if you are doing OLAP queries, you know, like you talk about Spark. If you are doing OLAP queries and you do not care about the time to your query transfer, we don't speak in millisecond, either in second, but maybe in minutes. Yeah, maybe you can think about allow filtering, but again, you should have the proper tables to do your work and not try to use some kind of workarounds. All right, so now you get the tables and which select query we will do. What about write query? What about the mutation? Well, the first mutation, 5a, is to create a new journey. So I will create a new journey for the spacecraft Crew Dragon 9. To bring back astronaut to the ESS. All right, and so you can see that the active flag is false because I'm just creating the journey. Now what I want to do is to take off. So to take off, I will update the journey and I will put active to true. And I will provide the start date as of now. And again, I need to provide the full primary key to update this item. Okay. So, what does it look like? I do have my journey started and I have the start date. And now I will start record readings for each dimension. So speed, pressure, all the force. So this is just a few insertion. Okay. So here is speed, location, temperatures, just a couple. And when I want to land, I will update the record and say now active is false, and I will update the colon end with the date to now. If I now look at what the journey look like, now the journey is not active anymore. I have a start date, an end date, a summary, and boom. I can still query all the journey for a spacecraft and get the status. Yeah, so I see some people with file corrupted, so maybe you should just download the full GitHub repo here and go down. So here it is, and so where it is again, download zip.
Yeah, in the very base. Yeah, so for those of you who are getting a corrupted tar, I know this happens for some Windows folks. Watch what Cedric is doing right now.
Yes, so go to the root of the repo and say download zip, and you would have all the tar. Because I can unshow you this tar is not corrupted. Okay.
Yeah.
I just imported in front of you in the Astra, but it's sometimes with Windows machine, I don't know, the default tar stuff. First try to untar it where you should not, and then for some reason do not have the corrupted. But that's all due to either the browser or Windows. I can assure you that the file is correct. All right, and we are done with this exercise. Okay. Oh, Rolink is working in Windows for sure. So, okay, we are covered. Just stop using Windows. It's not a OS war, man. No, I love all the. No, we love all the OS, and when we do, you will see in 2 weeks when we do the Kubernetes stuff, and you need to install Kubernetes on your laptop. We have the procedure for Linux, Windows, and Mac. Everybody happy. We just love all the we love all the OS.
Yeah, and it looks like Gerard is working. I know Gerard was having a hard time with the Creptatar. If I've got that right, Gerard, it looks like since you downloaded the entire GitHub repo that it's working better for you. So wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you guys for confirming. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we keep we keep having this issue. Also try to import with URL, and we don't do that anymore. Yeah. Just download the full stuff on your laptop and drag and drop. It should be the best way to go. Okay, so we are done for exercise 1. I will show you now a little bit of slides just to see how the drivers will connect to Cassandra. Let's start playing with code. I would advise you now to go back to week 3 and start GitPod right now, because GitPod may take 5-10 minutes to start depending on your bandwidth. So you just go to Cassandra Workshop Series, the README of today, the one we are using from the start, and go to chapter number 3 and say connectivity to Cassandra, and then click on the open in GitHub. You should rather say open in a new tab, I think. Otherwise, it will just pop up in front of you. And this is what it would like. See, it will pull the Docker image, and soon we will have a full working IDE to do all the code. Okay, so again, this is the open in GitPod button. And if you want to browse very quick, you just look for step 3A. Okay, open GitPod. And when it's done, yeah, this is what you got. Okay, see, I'm still on the same README, but I'm now in a full working IDE, and I can start typing some command and do some stuff. We will go back there right away. I will let you start that properly, and we'll go in slide mode. Okay.
And Charlie Collins on YouTube was asking, do I need to get something set up to see GitPod? You shouldn't. No. The link should just be there for you in the repo. You should just be able to click it. It's a fully online cloud-based experience. You shouldn't need anything locally to make that work.
Yeah, totally fine. Yeah. So look for 3A key, because it's hidden in the middle of the README. Because, yeah, I put back how to create an extra instance in the beginning, just to have everything at a single place. Just if somebody just joined us today, just to be able to do the exercise.
There a chance you could show that one more time, Cedric, going down to the GitPod link and launching that?
Yes, of course. Okay, so I'm going to, let's go back to, we do have a single GitHub repo for the full series, Cassandra Workshop Series, okay? And today we are doing the week 3, so I'm clicking on week 3, okay? And so there is a dedicated README for week 3, and see, I go to I go to connectivity to Cassandra. I could have used the table of content, but let's browse to what we need. Connectivity to Cassandra. Here you do have a open in GitPod. Okay. Then what I did, instead of just clicking the button, because it will open GitPod in the same window, and I will lose the instruction what to do, I simply right click and say open link in a new tab. And so that's appeared. And we will use that this week, next week, and each time we need to code. It's quite new, GitPod. It's based on Eclipse Thea. And so there is Maven there, so you can do Java. There is NPM there, you can do Node. And there is also Python 3 installed, you can do Python. Now to do C#, you need to add more dependency in the GitPod, and this is why we did not provide the exercises in C# today. But still, you do have the exercise in the 3 other languages. All right, are we good? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it looks like we have some questions of folks that GitPod is asking for login info. I believe that's probably because it's expecting you're logging into GitHub.
Yeah, that's probably using your login in GitHub. Yep. Yeah, it's very look like VS Code, and yeah, the first time I saw Eclipse Thea, for me it was, man, VS Code, totally that. So you won't be lost. And to be honest, you can go to GitPod, dedicated website, and they explain you how to import all your extension for VS Code. Yeah, that's totally fluent, and that's probably the future. Maybe we don't have to install anything, and everything will be there. And you might tell the latency is not that bad. We will see that in a minute. But let's go to slide mode. Okay, so to connect to Cassandra, you are using some drivers. Those are libraries that are embedded in your application. So you don't have to handle the connection on your own. This is the job of the driver. You will only interact with the driver. So the driver ensures the connectivity, connect, but also anything related to retrying. If you lost the network, the driver will try to reconnect. If a query fails because the database is not there, the driver will retry the query. Remember the first week when we say a client can ask any node to be the coordinator node for a query, and the coordinator node will send the request to the replica? Well, the driver is token aware. So even at the driver level, the driver level knows which are the proper replica and go ask for the data to the replica. And so 99% of the time, the coordinator node is one of the replica you need. And so the response is very, very fast if you are using CL1 because you hit the proper node and there is no extra request over the wire. It's also handling the connection pooling. You can put big or small. It's doing else check. So let's see one of the nodes in your Cassandra cluster is down. Then the driver will notice and don't ask to this guy for a period of time you just set up. And it will else check, and when the node goes back online, then the driver will again connect to this guy and do and serve the request to him. So the driver is very, very clever. All this stuff is done by the library. You don't have to. Okay, for authentication authorization, SSL, okay, this is what you expect for any connectivity tools. And now, when you query against Cassandra, we support, of course, the Cassandra query language, but also everything to create tables, type, any object in the key spaces, even create the key spaces. You can interact with Cassandra using synchronous query. So today we are using only synchronous. Let's see next week. Or asynchronous and reactive. Okay? You do have something to help you building the queries, and everything is done to make you as fast as possible. So either using compression or paging, because you don't want to retrieve the full tables or the full partition. You maybe just want to display in your UI, a first range of data, and so you might want to use paging. And also, parsing result. We will see that in a minute.
And just something for those of you who are seeing that GitPod is taking a moment, we do have a lot of you on today. And this is the first time, honestly, like GitPod is obviously a service from GitHub, but this is the first time we had this many people trying it all at once. GitPod on its own, without all these folks at one time, can take a couple of minutes to start up, right? You're going to see that kind of 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3. It might take a couple of minutes, but with all of us hitting it at once, it might be a little bit slower than normal. The cool thing with GitPod is if for some reason it seems like it's hanging or whatever, you can just kill that tab and start another one, and it'll restart all the resources if it needs to. So it's not something like it's going to like corrupt it or do anything like that. But we may have to just be patient with it because it is a lot of folks.
Yeah, and also David, don't hesitate to interrupt me if you do have some spicy question in the chat. For instance, I see one from Charlie Collins telling me that is reactive always necessary for serverless? Quite a lot of buzzword in a single sentence, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good.
So for me the answer is no, because in the serverless world, the endpoint could be also synchronous. If you are working in AWS and the endpoint is using the API gateway, then you are using REST and the synchronous part of REST, and so there is no point for your backend code to be reactive. And if you start doing reactive, the full stack should be reactive. So not only the driver and your code, but also the way you deploy. So if you are using Spring, it's just, you know, it needs to be Spring Web Flux. If you are using, you're not a noob, man. That's a good question. That was a good question. All right, but you know, we will discuss all that in the coming weeks as well. So I told you it's a library. The drivers are a library, and so first you need to install. So if you are working with Java, this is a Maven dependency, and if you are working with Gradle, you can translate in JSON. It's not that difficult. Latest version 4.7.2. This is a Python. This is npm for Node.js, so Node Package Manager, and this is how you will install that for the Cassandra C# driver with the Nugget package. Okay, but Visual Studio can help you find this package with the proper search function. And that's it. With this library, you have everything. Just a note, if you have used the driver, the Java driver before, you might notice that we used to have two sets of drivers, one for enterprise features, one for open source. Now, this driver, you see that is the only one. Everything has been merged. So in there, you still have some capabilities that will not work with OSS Cassandra, like graph, Spark, search, but any advanced, reactive stuff, advanced load balancing, advanced configuration, it's now all available here, there. Yeah, finally open, as you told that. Okay, so now with your driver, you will connect to Cassandra. So at the initialization of the connection, you will address a contact point. Only one is necessary. But if for this very first query to connect, this contact point is not available, well, having two is not bad. Okay? But once the connectivity has been established, the response coming back from Cassandra get all the topology of the Cassandra cluster. So now the driver knows all the IPs of each node and how the ring and rack are distributed. And this is why the driver is pretty clever and can now interact with the local data center, the one that is close to him, just to reduce the latency and not try to contact all the nodes from everywhere on the planet, because your Cassandra cluster is fully distributed. Okay, so that's the theory. Boom, this is a code, and I try to do that now for each notion I will talk to. I provide you the code in each language. Of course, it's not to be learned by heart or anything, but remember, we give you the slides. Okay, so you do have a PDF on the GitHub repo each week, so you do have this code. You will also have this code in the exercise, but that's still good to have this cheat sheet how to establish a connection to Cassandra. So as you can see, we define the contact point, a local data center, which one is close to me to reduce latencies, the key space, which is, by the way, optional. You can connect without providing a key space, and then interacting with Cassandra using any key space by using prefix. You provide user password, okay? Java, Python, Node, C#. You might tell that Java and C# code are very similar. Sometimes it's just adding some uppercase at the first in the method name. And same for Node and Python, pretty close, using the same object.
Yeah, the driver teams, they do a really good job, in my opinion, of keeping parity across the different languages, right? So one of the things that I've always kind of noticed about coding Cassandra and the different various code languages is that if you figure it out for one, you're not that far off to understand how to do it for another. Yeah, there's some differences, like Node being async, by default and such, and how to handle that. But as far as the syntax goes and the feel of it, generally speaking, maybe the object mapper is a good exception to that. It's a little different though. But for all the regular commands, like I said, generally, once you figure it out for one, you're going to be very, very close to doing it for the others. The driver teams do a very nice job of keeping that kind of in sync across the languages.
Okay, so I do have some queries coming. User will be killer video, yes, because it's the one we are using. Why is there a port number in the Java version? I think it's optional. You can use either a 9net socket address or a socket address where you don't have to provide a port. How to turn on the debug on the driver to track, well, using, you know, you do have a logger, so SLF4j if you're working in Java, and providing, or logback, providing in the logback.xml, you just say anything com.datastax.oss should be log debug. Boom, you do have the log. And also, you will see that, but each time you query Cassandra, you will get an object called a result set, and in the result set, you will have the trace. So which node did you hit, how much time did the request, and a lot of extra information that you can export to dedicated tools like Prometheus, for instance. All right, moving on. I want you to, go for it.
Oh, real quick, yeah, I've got a question here from Navjot. I don't know if I said that, you know, he or she was with us last week. I have no idea how to pronounce that name, so if anyone can tell me how to pronounce it properly, that's great. But the question is there any issue if we specify all the nodes? Let's say I have a cluster of 36 nodes span over 3 DCs. Actually, yeah, so you don't want to actually specify all your nodes. For one, it's just flat out overkill. As Cedric has explained, when you connect up to the nodes, you only need 3 of them, a handful of them, because through the gossip mechanism, through the gossip mechanism, then the driver will become aware of all the other nodes, right? So you really do not need to do that. And if you specify them all, I guess the question is if you specify them all in the driver as compared to specifying them all as seed nodes. I know if you specify all of your nodes as seed nodes, right, you're going to end up being very chatty, and that's absolute overkill. I believe it's much the same if you specify, say, all of your nodes in the driver as well. But I think that's just on startup, though. It's just the initial startup, but it doesn't give you any benefit to add in all your nodes. Imagine for a moment, going back to the 1,000-node cluster scenario. Do you really want to include all 1,000 IPs and have to know what those are? The power here is to use gossip and use the fact that the driver gossips just like your nodes do to only provide, say, 3 of your seed nodes as your configuration points here. And then that way it will explore and find all the rest of your nodes. There's no need for you to provide all of the nodes.
So if you do have, let's say, a cluster of 10 nodes, the best practice is to provide 2 nodes, and those 2 nodes could be the seed nodes. So that's the best practice, because seed nodes tends to be the most up-to-date when it comes to the Cassandra topology, but it's not mandatory. I mean, just 2 IP of the node, totally fine. And how to add multiple nodes? Well, you can tell with the code that for Python and Node, you provide an array of IP, and for Java and C#, which are using more some kind of fluent API, you just add contact point, any time you need. And you know, that's when you want to explicitly provide all the parameters. You can also externalize all these settings in a configuration file, and you will see when we move to Kubernetes, we want to have all this value externalized from your app. And we will see that, I think it's 3 weeks. All right.
Oh, and one last thing, Cedric, because I see a really juicy question that just came in from SA. Right. Does token-aware policy always take care that every request goes to the node responsible for data and not to any other coordinator? What are the scenarios wherein this is not handled? So the token-aware policy, along with the load balancing pieces, they're going to do their best to try to ensure that requests are actually going to nodes that, in fact, can facilitate the data, right? It's an optimization in there to help reduce the amount of network overhead and such, because if I can go right to the node that has the data, then I reduce a hop, right? But that's not always guaranteed. What happens if for some reason a node is down, or you can't communicate with one or something? And this is actually getting into some of the real power of Cassandra. The fact that it is a peer-to-peer leaderless system, that request can go to any node and it will forward it on to the correct node that has the data. But yes, there is optimization that will attempt to shorten that path as much as possible. Cedric, is there anything else you want to add to
no,
that?
I'm just reading the question, and as I had the question 3 times now, I will repeat. So if so you can provide multiple contact points. Okay, one is mandatory, you can have multiple. If the one you provided is down and it's the only one, so no magic, you will get an error, I cannot connect to Cassandra. If you provided 2 contact points, which is a recommended path, then the driver will do the load balance, will retry on the other contact points for you. And once this first connection success, then everything's fine, because now the client has the full topology of the cluster and can do load balancing among any nodes. But just for this very first one, if this node is down, yeah, have multiple contact points is better.
And one last thing, and then I promise I'll let you go on, because this is another one that comes up a lot, and it's a good question from Avinash. What if the connected node goes down? Again, this is one of those cool things about how the driver works and how much work the drivers are doing for you. So even if, again, let's use the 1,000 node cluster as a scenario, once the driver connects to your cluster, even in the 1,000 nodes, right, it will gossip and become aware. It doesn't matter. The node that you initially connected to, the initial contact point, was just that initial contact point. That's all it was.
Only that.
Once it's connected up to your cluster,
Done.
It gossips and it's aware of all the rest of them. So you could lose that node. It doesn't
Yes.
matter. You're totally good.
Yeah. Then the driver will reach any node, no problem. Okay. But we are using Astra for 2 weeks now, and Astra is full Cassandra in the cloud. So do we provide you hundreds and hundreds of IP? Well, so no, there are some proxies and load balancing on top of Cassandra nodes, providing in Astra. And we are using something called server name indication, SNI. So what we do, we open a 2-way TLS connection using strong certificate. The connection remain open, and with this socket open and secure, now the driver can do all the else check, retry, load balance using some SNI instruction on top of the TLS connection. And so when we will connect to Cassandra, we will need to download a zip file. And in this zip file, you do have the certificates, not only user password, but also the certificates to be able to open this 2-way TLS connection. When it's done, it's working exactly the same as your driver connecting to Cassandra. And of course, as the load balancer is redundant, there is no single point of failure. All right, moving on. And so if I look at the code now, when we will connect all together to Astra, exercise number 2, see that we are using the zip file. Okay, so now instead of having contact point, I'm using zip file, and it's available, in the 4 languages as you see here. As reduce the path, just secure.zip, you will provide the full path, but just to fit in one screen. But you get the idea. Now you only need user password and class secure bundle, and you can have or not the key space. And here I put back killer video because this is the one you will probably use, because this is the one we created in the previous week. All right. Important about session and client. The session, the one we use to interact with Cassandra, is a stateful object. Is doing else check. So this guy open socket to any of the node when it deals with Cassandra, local Cassandra. And also doing a lot of SNI when it comes to Astra. So when you close your app, you want to add what we call a shutdown hook, which is some listener that will close the session when you close the app, just to properly close all the TCP connection that has been opened. Because if you do have 1,000 nodes in your cluster, you will have 1,000 open TCP socket for each connected client, because the client is connected to each node and doing else check. That's a lot of TCP sockets So don't forget to just close the secure session when you close the app. All right, and now we can go to connect to Cassandra. So go back to the README when you find all the instructions. Okay, so the first things to do is to download the zip file, the secure cloud. Yeah, how to download secure cloud, exactly, Gaurav said. So this is exactly what I'm showing now. So in the exercise, download the secure bundle. So when you go to Astra, there is something called authentication, and I put a red circle, download secure cloud bundle. So if I go there, I refresh. Don't forget to
make sure to refresh.
Make sure to refresh because look, the download link expires every 5 minutes. When you get the file, it's done. It will be valid forever. But to avoid any scrapping or any weird stuff, we just ask you to just refresh before. So, and then you just download, okay? And so mine is called Secure Connect dash dev. Maybe it's two. Let me put that below. So Secure Connect dev workshop DB. Why? Because my database is called dev workshop DB. If you use the parameter for week 1 or 2, it should be called Secure Connect dev killer video cluster. All right. So you download that. Okay, it's local. Okay, perfect. Moving on with the instruction. Once you have downloaded that file, you go to GitPod. Okay, so I'm going to GitPod. You need to select one of the folder to import something. So I will select week 3, okay? And I will say file, upload file, and I will pick my Secure Connect bundle. And so the file is now uploaded. And here on my terminal, I can go to week 3 and yep, let's do it the proper way. Yeah, and now if I list, you can see that the Secure Connect bundle is there. All right. You know what? I will do pwd just to see. This is the path of the zip file. Okay, you need the path. Okay. Going on with the exercise, you see now that the file is there. Okay, this is what we just did. And now, depending on the language you are more confident with, you will use any of those. So myself, I'm quite of a Java geek, so I will go with Java, but you do have the same instruction for Node and Python. All right, so we can see that VJ already is ahead of us. So I will open the Java part. Okay. So
yeah, I think I've noticed a lot of folks are. You started talking about the original slides are already jumping into code. I think people are excited. But that's just like, let's just go into the code, guys.
That's a good sign. And it's there is enough documentation in the GitHub for you to do all the exercise pretty quickly. Okay, so first there is a class called DB connection. And you want to just specify the the zip path, user, password, and key space. Okay. So me, if I'm going to my here Git, so I'm going to CRUD Java because I'm doing Java. Sources, main, Java, DB connection, and here it is. So I will use the path and I will provide the name of my zip. Okay. So username is to do user to do app. That's just me. So you would have to change that to killer video, kv user, kv password. So I save. Don't forget to save. Autosave is not enabled by default in GitPod. This is one of the drawbacks. So Control S or Command S if you're on Mac. So let me go to Java. And then you should be able to execute the first test. So let's see. I'm here in GitPod and in src test Java. Remember, I'm a Java geek, so I really wanted to do unit tests and no main. But those unit tests are not 100% perfect. I want to have some assertion to validate that it is indeed a test. And I must admit that for some, it's just executing the code and not doing the assertion afterward. But yeah, that's just a workshop. Be happy with that. Be nice with me. Okay, so exercise 2, what it will do should connect to Astra. Okay, so it will use the constant we just defined, and it will do the code, SQL session with cloud secure, with auth credential, with key space, and it should write connected with key space. So I go first to CRUD Java. I'm doing a clean compile, just safety.
Hey, Cedric, can you zoom your the font? I think it's hard to read for folks.
I'm not sure I can, but you know what? I will switch to my local IDE just after that. Okay, because you can do that with your own Eclipse,
So I gotta call you out on something, Cedric. Not really calling you out. So Prashant just asked, do we have a C# folder to follow up with instructions? So funny enough, right? You can imagine that having to code up all 4 languages for this, is a good amount of work. We just didn't finish the C# one.
So we did the 30 exercise, not 40. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a lot to repeat. So now, Cedric, I don't want to put you on the spot. I know that you had some of that done. Are we still planning to put that out there at some point?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
We're
because
gonna say, oh, sorry,
next week we do have the full app ready to go in C# already. So if you go to week 4, okay, then you can see that the app is fully ready, including in C#. Okay, so seems like my exercise is success and I was able to connect. Okay. And if I'm doing the same now on my local machine, oh, magic, now it's white. See, I think I do have the proper path. And so if I go to my unit test, I should be able to run as the unit test. So same. Yeah, I like this green telling me that my unit test is correct.
Yeah, one thing we should just reiterate real fast, Cedric, for in any one of the languages that you're working with, when you upload, once you've pulled down your Secure Connect bundle, that zip file, and you're uploading it in there, make sure that you're putting it into the root of the week 3 folder. Yeah. That way, as you're going through any of the code languages, it's in one location. Yeah. You can use the same file for all of them. I saw a couple questions come through. So in the root of your week 3 folder, if you right click on that folder in GitPod, you will see an upload. You can just upload it directly there.
Yeah, this is what I did, but technically any path is okay because you provide the path in the DB connection class. And also you might ask, why on earth did you provide a DB connection class or interface in the Java part? Well, because we use exactly the same code convention for any language. So if I go to CRUD.js, I do have a DB connection.js with the same, and same for Python. Okay.
Yeah, and one last thing, I see some questions coming in. Do I have to do all the languages or anything? No. These, you don't have to do them all. You can pick one. He's doing Java. You could do Python. You could do Node. Totally up to you. We provide all of these because, as you saw in the question in the beginning, we have a lot of folks from different languages. So we're trying to help folks with all the major languages at least get a starting point. You can just do one of them. You can do all of them. Totally up to you. But all of them are essentially the same exact thing, just implemented in the different languages.
Yes, but each time we provide you the exact command to pass. So you should be able to do those and go browse the code. It's there for you. So in the homework for this week, we will say please end the exercises. So just exercises for the language you like. You don't have to do all the exercise for all languages.
Of course, I find it fun to kind of do them all anyway, but it's beside the point.
Yeah, totally fine. Okay, so now we are connected. Let's do some stuff with that. Let's execute some queries against Cassandra. Okay, so to execute queries, of course, you can totally execute the Cassandra query language as is. But then you can have all the SQL injections attack. So each time you want to externalize the parameter of your queries. So as you can see, using some question mark, or you can even use some labels. So any query you execute against Cassandra is what we call a statement. So that's a good practice to instantiate a statement before executing it, because once you get a statement, you have access to extra attributes, parameter of the statement. You know, like the timeout, how many times do you want to wait? Or remember last week, the consistency level, the famous consistency level that is cared per query, per statement. This is a statement object that will hold the consistency level. So you do here have the 5 languages, 5, man, I don't know how to count, 4 languages here. Moving on, this code is there for you to go back whenever you need. Each time you execute a statement, Cassandra needs to validate that the statement is valid. Looking at the grammar, is the table exist? Is a column name, first, is a valid query, Cassandra query language? Do you use all the proper keywords, or do you have introduced any strange stuff? Okay. Then evaluate if table exists, column exists for this table, and everything's work properly. To avoid doing this work for every query, it's recommended to prepare your statement. And it's pretty explicit in the Java code, a bit less in the other, but still, look, there is a prepare true option. And what it does is, at the beginning, at the startup launch of your application, it will prepare the statement. So connect to Cassandra, validate that all the statements are okay, and then at the Cassandra level, we will store something called a prepare statement ID. And then when you execute the query, you will only provide the parameter and the prepare statement ID. You don't have to provide the full, the driver won't give the full request to validate each time. And so this way to interact, now it's called a prepare statement. And from a prepare statement, you will bind the parameter to create what we call the bound statement, and you execute the bound statement much faster than execute the basic statement, which need validation each time. Okay, same features with all the language you see here. Moving on. Okay, so this one is really now a bit step aside, step above. When you want to create some code that interact with a tables or an entity, most of the time is always the same method. You want to find the entity by its identifier. You want to save an entity. You want to delete an entity by its identifier, or you want to update an existing entity. And then you want to execute some select read queries. Could be list, find all, or providing the proper filters. So there is a pretty famous way to implement those, and is the repository. In the Java world, and I think it's in C# it's called the repository. In Ruby it's called active record, but it's always the same. Same function, same signatures to interact with each table. And so we will try to implement those methods when we work with the code. It's a best practice. Like that, you do have a new table, let's implement the iRepository for this table. Because then, you would have always the same signatures, and guess what? When you have the same signatures, you can expose the same REST API, more or less, only the entity model will change. It works always the same. Then you need to start thinking only when you need to select. And we will see next week when you select, which is the best. REST, GraphQL, gRPC, Kafka, all that stuff will be discussed next week. Okay, so that's the overall principles. When you interact with your table, you try to implement those methods or functions. I told you, not a lot of slide today. Yeah, Kafka. Yeah, not a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot of slide. Today is code. So remember the notebook? We created a journey. We take off by updating the journey. We save stuff and we landed. So let's do that with the code. And yeah, so let's do it. And I will do it with my Eclipse. Let's see. Okay. Why? Because I just like it. So if you still doing GitPod, so you do have here. So each time we provide you the command to pass and the expected output. And so there is no real brain power here. Is really executing step by step and browsing code to understand what it does. Okay, so yeah.
And one thing I'd like to point out as well, Cedric, if you could scroll to the top, I'm seeing a ton of questions from folks in many of the languages. Oh, back to the GitHub piece with the code, where you have the install instructions, if you will.
Say it again.
Oh, back to the GitHub.
Yes.
GitHub, not GitHub.
Our GitHub.
GitHub is GitPod.
Yeah,
GitHub. Anyway, back to the if you go to the top there. So for those of you who kind of went ahead and such, which is totally fine, make sure the very first step is the most important one. Let's see, if you scroll down just a little bit, Cedric, it should be essentially the install requirements kind of step, right? I think that's more, I can't remember. Yeah, okay, you see in this case, he's got a clean compile, a Maven clean compile, right? That's the important step. In Python, you're gonna see the pip3 require, I think it's the install Cassandra driver.
Pip3 install.
Yeah, and then Node is gonna have the npm install. If you are getting any errors like can't find module, can't find Cassandra driver, whatever, it's because that wasn't done, right? So make sure that you're running that step before you do any of this other stuff.
So what I remember how I import this project in my Eclipse. Well, I simply downloaded the repo and import the project is a Maven project. I could also do the Python locally because I do have the CRUD Python locally, and I can just Python is installed, so I can go and Python. I will do the Python if you want just after. Give you time to do so. But each time install what you need. Here I do clean compile. If I do Node, I will need npm install. Okay. Because we provide a package.js with the Cassandra driver dependency. And last but not least, in the Python one, because I told you that if you are not familiar with any language, pick Python. So here, start with pip3 install Cassandra drivers. And as you can see, pip is there. Boom. And here you're good to go to do the Python. See? And if I'm working locally, but I don't want to lose you, so I can totally have my own terminal. Let's put that here. Okay, this is my terminal. If I go to week 3, like you, CRUD Python, yeah, I should be able to execute the connect to Cassandra. Python execute to Cassandra.py. Start exercise, you are okay, you are connected to cluster. Why? Because the db connection.py have the proper values. So everything that you are doing in GitPod, because you don't have to install anything, you can do them locally by importing the project in your favorite IDE. And you don't even need an IDE to do Python and Node, it's all command line. Okay, so exercise. So as you can see, all the exercises are here, and we want to do create, read, no, create, update, insert. No, create, update, delete. Not the read, because for now there is no data in the DB. So I'm going to insert a journey, and do I lost David? David? Are you back?
I'm here. Maybe not.
Yeah, I
I
heard
am.
some
Did
weird,
I
some
leave?
weird sound that you just disappear and bring back. Okay.
I see that my image is frozen, so I don't know if I'm in or not.
Let me go check. Yeah, sanity check. Move, move. Yeah, you're fine. All right, so moving on. Yeah, you're frozen again.
Oh.
Yeah, you're back. Yeah, for some reason the connection moved
Okay, good.
back. Okay, maybe on your
Yeah,
side.
it did,
I don't know
and
what's
I'll take
happened in
apology.
Florida today. No.
Oh yeah, I lost Switch and everything. All right, well, hopefully it's coming back. So
yeah, I will need to hide you. Okay, I will need to move. Sorry if it's Twitch. Okay, so moving on, I will insert a journey by saying, okay, I will use the repo pattern. So in the Java, there is something called the journey repository, where I did the create, takeoff, which is update, log, which is saving records, and landing, which is updating an existing one. And look what I did. I more or less hide the Cassandra query language queries. Why? Just because for you to figure it out. What would be the query to just update the journey? So it has been provided before in the notebook, and also it has been provided in there at the bottom of the video. All right. Okay, so let's see. Let's do exercise number 3, insert a journey. So I will simply run that and execute a JUnit. This step is very important for everyone because I'm inserting a journey and this guy will generate a unique ID. You will need this ID for any other exercise. So make sure to copy paste this one. Okay, moving on. All right, so I could go to the notebook and show what's happening. So let's do that. Because, you also take your time to do the exercise. I want to give you the time. So let's see what happened. I'm going to the studio and I open a new, you know what? I'm quite lazy. I will simply go there. So we have created a journey, okay? And we have provided crew, dragon, endeavor, SpaceX, bring astros to ESS. So this is the spacecraft name and the UID is there. So I'm going there. Okay, so I will select spacecraft. So journey ID is this guy. And spacecraft is the one we just defined together, which is crew driven endeavor. Okay. And you know what? Before the quiz, I will make sure that I will make David come back. All right, so this, oh no, I just copy paste the wrong guy. Okay. Here we go. So we have created this new journey with this spacecraft and it's not yet active. We just have created it. But we will use this UID to move forward. Okay. So next is takeoff. All right. Are you back? I think
Am
you
I
are.
is the question.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you are. That's the magic
All right,
of
then.
internet. Yeah, so, you know, everything is live.
Federal.
So, did you finally plug back your internet
I see
link?
some funny comments here. Yeah, I was frozen. No, there's technology for you right there, right? No, all my stuff just completely died.
All right.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry. Yes. Woo, I'm back. I made it back.
I felt lonely though.
I'm sorry.
Welcome
I'm so
back.
sorry. I won't leave you again. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so now I will take off. So I will update the existing one. So see, I will update the journey ID. And then I will take off. Oh, did I do the right thing? I think I 1-0. Okay. And then I will execute that as a unit test. Suspense. Oh yeah, ignition, journey has now takeoff. If I look at my table, boom, now my journey is active and I do have a start date. So it's time to register some metrics. And as I define this journey ID as static variables in Java, I don't have to do that in every other exercise. But for Python and Node exercise, sorry about that, you need to provide this journey ID on each exercise. Sorry about that. All right, so now let's travel. So travel means, you know, inserting a bunch of value. I do some random metrics. Maybe it could be better just me doing a bit of random. So let's see, and I should be able to execute only that. Yeah. Doop, 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 doop. Doop, 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 doop. Yeah. Okay, now everything has been set. So if I go back here, and instead of selecting this spacecraft catalog, I try to select, let's see, speed over time. Okay. Boom, I do have my 50 record for the speed. Not bad. All right. Okay, moving on. Now that we have recorded some values, we will simply update the journey again just to see, oh, now I will make my rocket land. Yeah, so from Fmisa Gopalan, yes, this is exactly what we are trying to do in the notebook. Okay. Yeah, in the notebook, we just explain you what will be the query we need. You know, even providing the full query. And now I'll show you how to execute the very same query using the drivers. Yeah, because the full purpose of today is really to make you have your hands around the driver. So now it told me that the journey has landed. And so if I go back to the catalog and want to see what's happened, now it's back to inactive and I do have an end, and here I can do some metrics, and we just make a rocket take off, send a bunch of data, and land. Okay, create, update. Yes, please. Okay, so 30 minutes, totally fine. Now it's a few slides, a few exercises, and we are done. We will be on time. Okay, so we have just executed some queries. So sometimes queries are select and you want to get back the result. Okay, so in the for language, in the same object, we are using result set. Okay, and in the result set, you do have two stuff coming out of the DB. So first, your rows. This is the data you want to parse, and also execution info. And before I had a question about query trace, execution time, it's all part of execution info. Then the result set is an iterable. We do not provide you a list. It's like a cursor. You will move step by step because all the queries are paged. If you do select star from a table with 1 billion rows, we won't retrieve you the 1 billion rows because at best case scenario, Cassandra has more memory than you and you explode out of memory. Worst case scenario, you have more memory than Cassandra and Cassandra explode. So all queries are paged. Okay, so this is how you use a result set. You execute, okay? This is a result of execution. And if there is only one result, remember you execute providing the full primary key, ensuring unicity. You can do result set.1, but if it's not, if there are multiple things, then you will have some cursor. You can iterate in rows of the result set. If you do dot list or dot all, it will fetch all the pages for you. So be careful with result set dot all. You know, I know some developer immediately do result set dot all to get everything from the table, but under the hood it will fetch all the tables needed until the result set is exhausted, and it can be long and you may not need all the result, but also only the first page, because on the UI you want to show there is only a few lines. Okay, so now if you want to parse rows, so you get a row from a result set, then you will access the column with the column names, exactly the same way you would do with JDBC or relational database. Nothing really new here. And you can see that in Java C# we are using the name, and Python node we are using some suffix. If the name follows some convention without space, you can totally use the column name as a variable. An object mapper, remember, so not remember, but this is how the name tells how to map object to tables, and we will create some objects, some entities, and we will define some classes without code. We just define the interface, and with that the driver will generate for us all the query to read, delete, update. You don't have to do it. You simply have to provide an object mapping attributes to column for the table, and it works. So this is the 4 languages, and I zoom on the Java one. So if I look on the right part of the screen, here you do have an entity providing all the values, column name, and who is partition key, which are the clustering column. And with only the entity, spacecraft journey catalog, I can say DAO, find all, and get an iterable of this object. The driver will introspect this class, know that we are working with this, Cedric, don't click, with this table, with this column, and will generate the code at compile time to make it work as you expect. And now when you want to use it, you simply new mapper, new DAO, and see with the DAO you can now start using it. DAO, don't find all, and you will get all the spacecraft, and you have never written a single line of SQL. It just object with the proper partition.
So Cedric, I got a good one for you here.
Yep.
Try, we've seen Try multiple times in previous workshops, so hello again, Try. I was going to answer this, but then I wanted to put you on the spot because I thought it'd be fun. This is a good question, though.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Cedric.
Probably I don't know the answer now.
Okay. What if the app crashes midway through the result set? Would Cassandra hold the pending result set? If not, is the result set dropped? That's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it would be dropped. So
I think it's lost, yeah.
Yeah, for sure you do have a state, because when you get a paging result, you have something called a paging state. And in the paging state, what it does is actually providing the offset of the token where it is, just to be able to go back to exactly what it was. So, you know, you can query the first page, get back the result with a paging state, shut down everything, request page number 2 with the same paging state. Because the paging state contains the token, then it will fetch page 2. But if you have started page to fetching page 2, yeah, there are still data there on the coordinator node, but it will be timeout soon if you don't go fetch a page afterward. But still there is some kind of state mechanism. If you are showing a UI, you are showing page 1 to the folk, to the people, and in between you click page number 2 and somebody inserts something in between, you want to keep the same state as before. And to do that, they are using paging state not only to provide the token, so offset token, but also the timestamps. This is a way to execute a query, you say, with timestamp. And so it won't get the very last value, it will get the value at the time the request has been issued in the first place.
Yeah, and there's actually some follow-up questions here. Where is the results of paging state stored in the server side, or is that on the
so the paging states should be saved at the application level. I think the next, do I have some paging? No, I no slide from paging, but in the exercise there is the last exercise is paging. So in the result set you will get something paging state. You save that value, and then you re-execute the same query, providing now the paging state as an additional parameter, and then it will go fetch page 2. Okay. All right, so let's go for the exercise. 5 minutes, I can do that in front of you in 5 minutes, no problem. And I will answer the question of a few folks about Spring right after that. And I want to be on time or at 5 minutes late at most. So I'm going to my IDE. No, my IDE is... I lost my IDE. Where are you, man? Here it is. Okay, and I'm going to read exercise. So first is list all the journey for one spacecraft. So here I do have a single journey because I have truncated my table just before we started. But the query is pretty simple. Select star from spacecraft, where spacecraft name is yada yada yada. Okay, and here I'm reading the row and I say .all. Why? Because I know there is a very few and I don't need to use paging. Okay. Same for user journey details. I know if I do a query providing the full primary key, I know that I will get a single result. So I can go and execute select. So this time is in the repository. So, and I need the read request, select star from spacecraft, and as I've provided the full primary key, I know I do have a single result. And so, I just say all, but I could have said one. For this one, it should be the same. Yeah, this one I should update and just, get, yeah, all right, let's do it the proper way. I was not on the proper class. Read journey details. I know that I will get a journey or not, and I will simply list the journey we just created together. Okay, now metrics. If I want to read all the metric, select star from the metrics. And let me execute this one. And see, no paging whatsoever. I just want everything, and I'm doing .all. Oh, bad. If I do 1 trillion row, it can sometimes. So what will happen? I'm iterating with on the rows. So I will get the first 5,000, which is the default value. And when I reach the latest of the page 1, the driver will go and fetch page 2 for me, and so forth and so on. So without noticing, you will get everything listed here, just because the driver just fetching page after page. So now, if we want to do explicit paging, and this is exactly the question we had in the chat, do you need to save that as the application level? So yes. So now It is the last exercise and the same query. See, select star. So I'm looking for all the partition, all the value in the partition, speed for spacecraft and journey ID. Could be a lot. But what I did in the result set, I will go to execution info, get the paging state. Okay, so now here I do have my paging state. And I ask for only 10 records in the page 1. See, page size is metadata, is part of the simple statement. So here I display page 1. Then I'm using exactly the same statement, just providing the paging state, and now I will show page 2. So if you are using something like a REST API in between calls, you need to have the paging state as part of your specification to be able to invoke that page 1, page 2, and so forth and so on. And if I run that, so same, you shouldn't have to code, simply execute the line we provide you. Boom, this is page 1 and this is page 2. Okay. And this was illustrating the read. Okay, how to read a result set, how to read a row, how to do paging. All right. I told you in the beginning, in the end I go very fast with the exercise, but again, take your time to read the code and just re-execute everything, ask questions on community on Discord if you have a hard time to re-execute the exercise during the week. Those are part of the homework. Okay, quickly, if you are familiar with Spring, okay, you know that Spring provides a ton of, so it's a most famous Java framework, and Spring provides a tons of sub-framework to help you to do one part or the other. And so now, related to data, there is Spring Data doing quite the same things as the object mapper we just show you. Provide you only the interface and entity, and we will generate the code for you. So, funny enough, we have released, I think, last month the new compatibility between Spring Data 3.0 and the latest version of the DataStax driver. So under the hood, I'm not sure it's using the same object mapper, but it's working exactly the same. If now you pick the latest version of Spring Data, it is using the latest DataStax drivers, working the same, and now be able to do prepare statement. By the way, on the YouTube channel, we have recorded an episode with the Spring Data Cassandra developer. It's available. So remember, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's not only this workshop twice a week. We're also doing a lot of live and episode. So for Spring Data, it was distributed data show. It's an episode we are doing every week. And also we do have example of the week with code we show you, we drive to. So, and just to not miss all these nice small video, 10 minutes, no more, then you can subscribe to the channel. But they are there, you can browse, they should be just below me somewhere. Okay, and with Spring Data Cassandra, you can either use the convention in as a Spring Boot application YAML or using a Spring Data Cassandra Java config. And entity and repository working the same. This is how it would like. And if you're interested, again, go to community.datastax.com on the forum of this workshop, or using Discord, ask the question, and we can provide the links with these working live. And with that, enough talking. I think we are on time, David.
I give it, it's 2:02.
Yeah,
2 minutes, it's fine. I think
top
we're
of the
within the
hour.
realm
Okay,
of...
so your homework now for week 3. So we totally know that DS220 is massive, and last week we asked you all not to only watch the video on purpose. It's still a long stuff to do. So for this week, no new DataStax Academy to digest. You can keep working on DS220 and data modeling. You can start doing the exercise if you didn't do before. we have just scratched the surface about code. If you go to that github.com/datascience examples, you do have tons of sample code in any language. So go for it. There are samples here to do. And what about now you to practice, not only learn? Try to finish the exercise on your own, okay? It should be only copy-paste the command, but if you have any issue, ask us. Why not also run the same on your laptop as I did? Simply import the project on your IDE. Those are not mandatory, just bonus. Try to run that on your laptop. And also bonus, why not changing the code, moving back from Secure Connect bundle to contact point and connect to a real Cassandra, not Astra. And to have Cassandra running on your laptop, we provide you a Docker Compose. You know, that's the bonus of the bonus for the most advanced folk here. But hey, like that you practice. And yet again, the validation form of the week with 3 questions from the workshop today, from DS220 again, because it's a follow-up. And these 3 questions as well. So it's open question just to engage. Now we are together with 3 weeks already. So for you, what could be the good use case for Cassandra now in your future? Do you have any project you would consider Cassandra? Also share with us your vision about what is cloud native and the future of cloud native, because soon we will discuss a lot about those terms. And also share what you need to succeed with Cassandra. Do we miss something? Is there some content we have not providing in the 3 weeks? Tell us, and we will try to put that in the coming weeks, because we still have 5 weeks to go. And with that, still again the resource, but we are done. We simply want you to thank you and do your homework, and see you next week. Bye.